Have you ever felt it? That specific feeling? It's not when you see the headline, that's just information. It's a few seconds later. You're alone with your thoughts, maybe in the car, maybe lying awake at 3 a.m. And the thought arrives uninvited. What does this mean for me? Not in a geopolitical sense, not who's right or wrong, but what does it mean for your job, your savings, the plan you've been working on for years, that little piece of security you've been trying to build? A cold knot forms in your stomach. It's a primal signal, a warning from a deep part of your brain that knows when elephants fight, the grass gets trampled, and you're not an elephant, you're the grass. And right on cue, your mind searches for an answer. It reaches for the oldest story we tell ourselves about money and chaos: gold, silver, safe havens. But then you look at a chart, and the story starts to crack. And that's where the real confusion begins. So you do what anyone would do: you look for the rule book, the playbook for the end of the world. And you find it, it's everywhere. Gold is a safe haven. When there's war, buy gold. Silver is real money. It's a story so old it feels carved into stone. It's logical, it's comforting. When paper promises burn, you hold the thing that can't be printed, the shiny, heavy, eternal thing. So you watch the news, you see the threats, the movements, the rhetoric, and you watch the gold price. And sometimes it goes up, a jolt, a spike, and you think, see, the story is true. But then it falls, sometimes in the middle of the worst news. It doesn't just fall, it stalls. It does nothing when it should be doing everything. And that cold notch in your stomach, it tightens, because now it's mixed with confusion, with betrayal. I did the right thing, I learned the rule, why is it not working? What if I told you the rule isn't wrong, but we are reading it in a language we don't understand? We think it says war equals gold up, but it doesn't say that at all. The secret is gold and silver aren't reacting to the war. They're reacting to something else entirely, something hidden in the space between the headline and your fear. And to see it, we have to go back. We have to listen to what history is actually whispering, not shouting. Let's test the story. Let's go to the moments of greatest fear. World War II, the literal war to end all wars. The invasion of Poland, the fall of France, Pearl Harbor. Look at gold. Did it skyrocket? No. In fact, for much of the early war, it was controlled. Its price was fixed by governments. It was illegal for private citizens in the US to even hold significant amounts. The ultimate safe haven was confiscated. The story already breaks. But let's move forward. The Gulf War, 1990. Saddam Hussein invades Kuwait. The world holds its breath. A major conflict in an oil-rich region. Gold fell. Why? Because the moment the first missile flew, a certainty replaced the fear. The fear of the unknown was gone. The market saw a conventional war with a predictable outcome. The safe haven trade unwound. 9/11, the ultimate shock. The world stops. What did gold do? It spiked dramatically for about a week, and then it gave back almost all of those gains and drifted lower for months. The initial panic was a reflex. Then the narrative took over. The war on terror began. It was a new, strange kind of conflict, but it was a plan. And markets hate panic, but they hate ambiguity more than anything else. So here's a confusing truth history shows us. Sometimes gold goes up on war news. Sometimes it goes down. Sometimes it does nothing. It's inconsistent. It's maddening. And if you're sitting there with that cold knot in your stomach trying to make a decision, this feels like useless information. It feels like noise. But what if this is a signal? What if the inconsistency itself is the message? Let's reframe everything. Forget war. It's too simple. It's a box we try to put chaos into. Gold and silver are not gauges of violence. They are gauges of trust. They price the market's collective faith in the system that exists after the headline. Faith in currencies, faith in governments to pay their debts, faith that the rules of the financial game will still be the rules tomorrow. So the question shifts. It's not, will there be a war? The question is, if this happens, will it break the trust? Look at the Gulf War example. Why did gold fall when the war started? Because the market decided quickly that this war would protect the system. It would protect oil flows, it would protect allied powers, it would restore order. Trust went up, so the safe haven wasn't needed.
Now look at a different kind of moment. 2008, not a war, but the financial crisis. No missiles, but what broke? Trust. The trust that banks were solvent, the trust that money market funds were safe, the trust in the entire architecture of debt. And what did gold do? It began a historic bull run because the fear wasn't about a country, it was about the system itself. So here is your aha moment, the one that changes how you think about every headline from now on. The missile, the sanction, the threat. It's just a trigger. It's the ping of a radar. The real move in gold and silver happens when that event threatens to trigger something vastly larger, a crisis of faith in the financial system. And to see if that is coming, you have to look at a different set of gauges entirely. What are those gauges? Let's talk about the real unraveling. Because if a US-Iran conflict stays contained, a skirmish, the market might shrug. But if it has a potential to unravel these three things, that's when the silent war for your wealth truly begins. Gauge number one, the petrodollar. For decades, oil has been sold in US dollars. This is not just a currency preference, it's the bedrock of global dollar demand. Every country needs dollars to buy energy. This creates a perpetual, structural demand for the US currency, allowing it to be the world's reserve currency. Now, Iran has spent years trying to break this, selling oil in euros and yuan and anything but dollars. A contained conflict might not change this, but a major conflict, one that draws in other powers and permanently reshapes Middle Eastern alliances, could accelerate this de-dollarization at a terrifying speed. What are you really buying when you buy gold in that scenario? You're not buying a hedge against Iran. You're buying a hedge against the slow-motion erosion of the dollar's supreme status. You're insuring against a world where the demand for dollars dries up from its most important source. That's the first threat. Here's the second, and it's even more direct: inflation. Modern wars are not fought just with soldiers. They are fought with money. Vast, unimaginable sums of money. Where does that money come from? In a world already drowning in debt, it comes from the magic of the central bank balance sheet. It's created. A major conflict means massive emergency spending on weapons, on logistics, on aid. It means supply chain shocks for everything from microchips to, you guessed it, oil. This isn't speculation, it's arithmetic. War is inflationary, period. And what is the ancient timeless hedge against currency debasement and inflation? Gold, silver, they are the anti-currency. Their price in this light isn't going up. The value of the paper current that you measure them with is going down. But the third gauge, this is the silent one, the one no news ticker shows, but it's the most important of all: market structure. We don't trade in a simple world anymore. We trade in hyper-connected, algorithmically driven, derivative-saturated casino. Gold and silver prices aren't just set by people buying bullion. They're set in massive paper futures markets, where trades are done by machines reacting to milliseconds, to dollar index moves, to bond yields, to other algorithms. In a true crisis of trust, this structure can break. What if a major player, a nation state, a fund, gets frozen out of the dollar system? They can't access their treasury bonds and their dollar deposits. What's the one universally accepted asset they can use to raise cash or settle debts? Gold. A sudden, massive, forced buying of gold to meet obligations, not because of fear, but because of operational necessity. This is a liquidity shock. It's a run on the bank, but the bank is the entire global monetary plumbing. This is what the deepest fear is about, not the event. It's about the event causing a cascade failure in the fragile, tangled system we all live inside. Now you see it, don't you? The difference between the noise and the signal. The headline is the noise. The cold gnawing in your stomach is your primal brain sensing the potential for the signal, the potential for a trust-breaking event. And that leads to a powerful but bittersweet truth that changes everything about how you think about protecting what's yours. The bitter truth is this: there is no perfect safe haven. Gold can be confiscated, as history shows. Its price can be manipulated in paper markets. In a true boots-on-the-ground war zone, a bar of gold can make you a target. Silver is an industrial metal as much as a monetary one. In a recession caused by war, its industrial demand can collapse, dragging the price down even as its safe haven quality should lift it. The idea of a single, magical asset that you buy and then sleep soundly through the apocalypse is a fantasy. It's a fantasy sold by gurus who want you to feel afraid and then sell you the only solution. It's a story that feels true, and the most dangerous thing in finance is a story that feels true. So if that's the bitter truth that there is no single magic pill, what's the path forward? It's not despair. It's a shift from superstition to strategy, from looking for a hero to building a robust shelter. Your new compass doesn't point to an asset, it points to a principle. The principle is optionality. Optionality means having choices when others have none. It means holding assets that behave differently under different kinds of stress. Gold is your hedge against a crisis of teeth in the financial system and currency debasement. Silver is a hybrid, a slice of monetary hedge and a bet on industrial might and green energy if the world rebuilds after chaos. Cash in the right currencies is your hedge against a deflationary shock, a sudden collapse in asset prices where you need dry powder to buy things when they're cheap. Productive assets like land, a business, or skills are your hedge against everything because they generate value regardless of what a screen says. The goal is not to predict the exact outcome of a
US-Iran conflict. The goal is to be unbreakable across a range of outcomes, to have your wealth configured so that no single story, like war makes gold go up or war crashes everything, can destroy you. This is melancholic, I know. It means accepting complexity. It means there's no easy button. The system is fragile, the stories are often lies, and your fear is both a gift and a trap. But in that melancholy, there is also immense power. Because you are no longer a passive victim of the headline waiting for a simple story to play out. You are an architect of resilience. You look at a headline now and you don't ask, should I buy gold? You ask, could this event damage trust in the system? Could it accelerate de-dollarization? Could it force inflationary spending? Your compass is calibrated. You're reading the deeper gauges. And this finally allows us to do the most important thing of all, to address the very feeling we started with, to replace the cold knot in your stomach with something else. That knot is anxiety. And anxiety is the fear of an unknown, overwhelming future where you have no control. Strategy is the antidote to anxiety. When you have a plan, not a prediction, but a plan for different worlds, you take back a piece of control. You move from, what will happen to me, to, this is what I will do if X or Y happens. So, let's be practical. Let's translate this principle into a single, powerful lens through which to view right now. Today, with the headlines flashing, ask yourself this core question. Is the current tension more likely to contain systemic risk or amplify it? If you believe any conflict will be swift, contained, and ultimately reinforce the current world order, then the traditional safe haven trade might be weak. It might even sell off on the certainty of war like we've seen before. Your focus might be elsewhere, but if you see the threads of the petrodollar, of already high debt, of fragile alliances, and you believe an event here could pull on those threads, then your focus shifts dramatically. You're not betting on war, you're betting on the second-order effects, the unraveling. In that scenario, gold isn't a trade, it's insurance, and you buy insurance before the house is on fire. This is why you felt so confused. You were trying to connect the headline directly to the asset, and the line is never straight. It goes through the labyrinth of trust, of systems, of human psychology. The clarity you've been searching for isn't in a price target, it's in this framework. When you understand this, something changes. The news doesn't stop being scary, but your relationship to it changes. You have a filter, a way to process the chaos. The noise fades into the background. You start listening for the signal of breaking trust. And in that, there is a profound, hard-won calm. Which brings us to the end of our journey, from that cold, lonely knot of anxiety to this place of clear-eyed, strategic resolve. Let's tie it all together, and I'll tell you the one thing you must do next. So let's revisit that feeling. The one we started with in the dark, staring at the screen. You felt a knot because you sensed a threat to the world you've built your life upon. That instinct was correct. You reached for the old story, the safe haven story, and saw it falter. That confusion was your mind realizing the map doesn't match the territory anymore. Now you see the territory. You see that the true threat is never the first explosion. It's the chain reaction it might start in the invisible world of faith and credit and promises. Gold and silver are not commodities in that moment. They are barometers. They measure the atmospheric pressure of trust in the entire system. This knowledge doesn't make you rich overnight, but it does something more valuable. It makes you awake. It makes you resilient. When the next headline flashes, you won't just feel the knot. You'll have a process. Identify the fear. Is this about Iran, or is the market's real fear about the petrodollar, about inflation, about a liquidity break? Consult your principal. Does this change my need for optionality? Does it strengthen the case for systemic insurance or not? Act or don't act from strategy, not reflex. The most powerful move is often to do nothing but observe, to let the panic of others reveal the truth. We buy safe havens not for the crisis we see, but for the crisis we imagine in the empty hours of the night. Your job is to get better at imagining. Not imagining doom, but imagining scenarios. Contained conflict, unraveling conflict, stalemate. Then ask if your wealth can survive and even find opportunity across those worlds. That is the work. It's not sexy. It doesn't fit in a headline, but it is the only thing that has ever worked. So here is your single, most important task when this video ends. Go to your portfolio or your savings account. Look at whatever you have set aside as your safe money. And for each asset, cash, gold, anything, ask yourself one question. What specific fear does this protect me against? Is it inflation, a bank holiday, a currency crisis, a stock market crash? If you can't answer that clearly, you are not holding an asset. You are holding a hope, and hope is not a strategy. This exercise, right now, is the first step from anxiety to agency. The world is and always has been a fragile place. The systems are complex, and they crack under pressure in unexpected ways. That is the melancholy truth. But you are not fragile, not if you build with that truth in mind. You can be the calm in the storm, not because you know what will happen, but because you've prepared for what could. The silent war for your wealth is always happening, in the background, in the decisions of central banks, in the corridors of power. Today, you've learned to hear its footsteps. You've learned to read its shadows on the wall. Now, you get to decide how to respond. If this journey from confusion to clarity resonated with you, if you want to build this kind of resilient, scenario-based thinking into every part of your financial life, then you're in the right place. Currency T is built on this principle, not on hype, not on fear, but on building unbreakable financial understanding. Subscribe, because our next video is about the other side of the crisis. It's about the single most overlooked asset that skyrockets when trust shatters. And it's not a metal. It's hiding in plain sight. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the moment we connect those dots. But before you go, I need a favor from you. Go down to the comments, look at the pinned comment, answer it with just one word, your initial feeling when you clicked. Then scroll and read just 3 other words from other people. You'll see it. The shared human experience behind all the charts and jargon. You are not alone in that feeling. And now, you're not alone in the search for a smarter way through it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for thinking. Now go look at your portfolio and ask why.